Good morning, everyone. We're standing here at the property of a lot that is nearly cleared through phase 2. Once again, this is record time. In past fires in other areas, they report it has taken months to even begin the process of phase 2, and here is a home where they are almost finished with it. But we're here today to get the word out about a very critical deadline, just 10 days away. And this deadline is owners here in the Palisades who have not opted in to have their debris removed are opted out, which means instead of it being removed by the Army Corps of Engineers, they are going to take care of it themselves. We are concerned that over 1,000 residents of the Palisades have neither opted in or opted out. And in a few days, they will lose the opportunity for FEMA reimbursement. So far, over 400 properties right here have already finished phase 2. That means that the debris has been cleared by the Army Corps of Engineers, and I am happy to share that the city issued the first building permits to property owners so they can start the rebuilding process. So we want this to be happening on your lot too. Again, we know that more than 1,000 people have not responded. So we want to encourage you to really implore that you decide whether or not you want the Army Corps of Engineers to remove the debris or whether you are going to remove it yourself. You need to opt in or opt out, and you can do that on the county website. If earlier in the process you decided that you wanted to opt out, but you haven't started yet, and you might have second thoughts, you can now change your mind and opt in to have the Army Corps of Engineers remove the debris at no cost to you. Again, if you do not take any action, properties will be declared a nuisance and owners will be responsible for all abatement costs without the possibility of FEMA reimbursement and possibly be subject to a lien on your property. All the information you need is at recovery.lacounty.gov. And as we rebuild, it is important that we keep our eyes on the future. So today I'm issuing a new executive order to help residents harden their homes and businesses against wildfire. We've learned a lot about wildfires over the years, and we know that there are certain things that you can do if you are ever in this situation again to protect your homes. Unfortunately, we also know that wildfires aren't going to go away, and climate-fueled disasters aren't going away either, which is why the city is going to do everything that we can to rebuild in a way that protects homes and businesses in the future. So the executive order that I will sign today has our city departments developing paths forward to streamline permitting for owners who rebuild all electric, more fire-resistant homes, to promote the use of fire-resistant construction materials to harden homes and businesses as Los Angeles begins to rebuild, and that further strengthens the resiliency of utilities and ensure power reliability during severe weather events. We have learned a lot about resiliency over the last few years, and so my executive directive will call upon the city departments to do everything they can to expedite the process for anybody who is choosing to rebuild in a way to prevent damage in the future. But rebuilding can't start until a lot is cleared. Again, we are 10 days away from this deadline and need all forms turned in. Last, visit recovery.lacounty.gov for more info. On behalf of this community and our city, I really want to thank the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers who have done an outstanding job. And I would like to thank specifically Colonel Saucer for the work that has been done to make the rebuilding of Palisades and our recovery from wildfires in this city the fastest that has ever been seen. Most definitely the fastest rebuilding that has happened in California's history. Colonel Swenson.
Good morning. On behalf of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, it's absolutely an honor to be standing before you today. I'd like to, when we talk about speed, and the mayor brought this up, and the response effort, it is unprecedented for the Corps of Engineers. I will tell you that that is only possible through partnerships. When the Corps has been on ground here for a couple of months, and to reach that speed and accomplish this amazing mission, we need partnerships to do so. And Mayor, I'd just like to thank your team. The City of Los Angeles has been absolutely fantastic. LA County, all the associated local, state, and federal partners, because we just simply can't do it without the greater effort. These great Americans behind me that are doing the hard work as well. But the singular most important partner that we have is the community. Certainly those in the affected communities. So here in the Pacific Palisades, City of Los Angeles, those that have lost homes, and neighbors that still have standing homes. And that partnership and our relationship with those communities is really the only way that we can accomplish this mission. It's the most critical partnership that we do have. And as the mayor alluded to, this is an optimization problem. You know, we want to go faster, but we have to do it at quality, and we have to do it at standard to alleviate the public health disaster. And we can only do that if we want to get to optimization by decreasing constraints and eliminating unknowns. And I will say that the greatest unknown that we have now is for those folks that still need to make an election on whether they're going to opt in or opt out. It's critically important. So we can certainly go through the numbers. The City of Los Angeles has been greatly, very responsive to the need, and they've given us a great amount of work. But we know that we're going to need to synchronize our efforts with private contractors, with utilities, with other folks that need to use these roads to rebuild this community. And so we need to reduce those unknowns and reduce those constraints. Number one being of which, finding out how many folks are going to opt in and opt out. It's critically important for us in order to accomplish our mission. Mayor, I'd just again like to thank you very much. Happy to answer any questions about the work going on here in the City of Los Angeles.
Before I open it up for questions, let me just give you another example. The Department of Water and Power had water and electricity up and running in the Palisades within a couple of months. When the survivors here have met with survivors from other wildfires, they learned that what happened here took months, and in some fires even as long as a year, to do what we've been able to do here in a couple of months. So with that, open up the question. Yes?
Hi, CCASCO is certainly good news. As part of the rebuilding effort, is the city going to waive building and permit fees to the people affected by the fires?
Thank you for that question. I have talked to Building and Safety and Planning, and I've told them to get a list of all of the fees and to waive every fee that they can. Some fees they can't waive because they're in law, so we want to look at that and see if the law can be changed. So we are working on that right now. And in a situation where they can't be waived, can they be reduced? And by the way, we do have our one-stop rebuilding center in West LA, where we have 12 city departments all in one location, so that Palisadians don't have to travel all over the city going from one department to the next. Pete?
Mayor, you want to rip a lot if you can. You talk about rebuilding with fire resistance or fire preventing things from actually burning. What are the architectural things or things that people would have to do in their design that would expedite the city saying, you got a green light, go ahead?
Well, in our executive order, and then Deputy Mayor Randall Winston, I'm going to ask you to come forward, please, because he can give you some technical specifics. But there, but there are a lot of things that individuals can do to harden their homes and to make sure that if they're in this situation again, they won't suffer from the same type of devastation. Would you like to come and give a couple of examples?
Absolutely.
Randall, identify yourself, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Randall Winston, Deputy Mayor of Infrastructure. So, part of the charge of this executive order is to work between our Department of Building and Safety and other departments to identify those specific aspects of the home to be made more fire resistant. All electric is part of that. More fire resistant construction materials, syncing up with what was recently released by the state insofar as that zone 0 between the facade of a home and 5 feet away from that facade, and what needs to happen or occur in that area to harden a home even further. We can't announce that today because we need to work with our departments and with the state to identify what specifically those materials and measures will include. There is I believe a 90-day time frame identified in the order to be able to come up with those recommendations to then release and build into what will be expedited.
Swinging into something else, power lines still up. The DWP looking into is going to offer a response to how long it could take to get things underground.
Yes. We're looking at that right now. DWP actually started immediately developing plans for undergrounding, but there are a lot of questions in regard to that. For example, the cost. How will that be paid for? The other idea is that if undergrounding starts and this owner would like to start rebuilding, should he wait until that happens? So there's a lot of variables there. But I think what is good news, though, is that DWP was on it immediately, trying to see what the plans would entail if undergrounding happened here.
Are you worried, Mayor, that people are going about it the way that they want to go about it in some ways? So in terms of fire-resistant homes, your executive order doesn't force them in any way. It makes it
That's
easier.
right.
There's incentives,
That's right.
waive permits. In terms of clearing lots, debris removal, they have the option to either opt in or opt out. People that are kind of not following the
Right.
direction of the city, of the Army Corps doing their own thing, and all of these different categories. What is your message to them? And I know you've talked about how some people have opted out and then come to you and said, hey, actually, explain that to us.
Sure. First of all, we would encourage everyone to opt in. You have an opportunity for experts to come and remove the debris and to handle delivery of that debris. When you take it on yourself, number one, you have to meet specific requirements, but you also have to figure out what you're going to do with that debris. And that's some of the problem that owners have gotten into, where they come to us and then say, okay, now where am I supposed to put it? So we encourage everyone to opt in. But what I am most concerned about, and the main message from this press conference is, for those individuals, and you're talking about over 1,000, who have not opted out or opted in, they are about to lose the opportunity for FEMA reimbursement, and they will be left on their own to remove the debris. And if they do not, it will be declared a nuisance and they might be liable. There might be liens on their property. There might be very large fines, because it's not fair for neighbors to just not make a decision and then the person next door to them is trying to rebuild and there's a lot of debris. So hopefully the community spirit will be so strong that there will be the peer pressure on individuals that have not opted in or opted out to make a decision, and you have 10 days left.
But the FEMA reimbursement that you're talking about, that's different than or that's the same as the date to opt in and opt out?
Well, basically, if you don't opt in the next 10 days, you could lose the possibility of having FEMA reimbursement. The FEMA timeline lasts a little bit longer than that.
Is your office contacting these 1,000?
Yes, we are. As a matter of fact, we had a meeting about that yesterday. We're looking at multiple ways to contact them. Emails, telephone numbers. As a matter of fact, when we were meeting with the DWP yesterday, we were talking about maybe looking at DWP bills, because they certainly have the contacts of everybody in the area. And then I know some of our neighborhood leaders, like Mr. Vane here, I know they're very active and will be contacting the neighbors as well.
Do you think some of these people that have opted out, do you think that maybe they've just moved ahead with private debris removal?
Oh yeah, no, some people have. It's over 500 that have opted out, and some of them are doing okay now. But we also want to give those people who have opted out the opportunity to change their mind, because originally they were told they couldn't change their mind. So the county decided that they could, because the county is responsible for the debris removal. And so they've decided that you can change your mind and you can opt back in. Yes.
Mayor, this goes for business owners as well. Anything different that they need to know about?
Yeah, the business owners are in an entirely different situation. They have to handle the debris removal themselves.
Mayor Bass?
Yes.
Madam Mayor, hi, Larry with Pali Strong. Question by the community members. First of all, thank you so much for today's news conference, and thanks to the Army Corps of Engineers. We have many comments. They're doing a terrific job,
Yes.
and the residents are absolutely delighted when they see their lots cleared. For the others who have chosen to do private debris removal, we've been given information. Some of their companies have been encountering some delays to get certain permitting done, and what can be done to expedite them getting to the lots and get those cleared. Concurrently with that would be some of the private removal companies are perhaps not following the exceptional work that the ACOE is doing, and how do we ensure that the community remains safe by those other private debris removal companies that are not following
And you
protocols?
know what, and you just pointed out one of the real problems when people opt out, because it is very difficult to enforce the rules. How could we do that, and how could we know that? And then in terms of the permitting, I will look into that to see about that. But that's exactly what I mean. When you opt out, you know, obviously you're on your own, but you do have to follow the rules in terms of making sure that the people that are doing the debris removal are actually qualified to do that. Yes.
Mayor, can you tell us whether the budget cuts in the new budget will affect the rebuilding process? And will those budget cuts affect the water process hosting the Olympics?
Oh, no, they will not affect the Olympics in 3 years. And two, I do not believe that they will affect the rebuilding either, because remember, we are fortunate that the administration is continuing the 100% reimbursement from FEMA. And so the money that is spent will be reimbursed. It's not as though it will not be. Yes.
Yeah, so Adam Rose with the LA Press Club says that there is a concerning amount of secrecy regarding documents and the Palisades fire reports. The one Bloomberg apparently asked for the pre-fire plan and evacuation planning, and was told by the LAFP that they couldn't be released because of an ongoing investigation. And there are dozens of rejections like this. So what is the city doing? Because it could also open up the city to lawsuits.
Right. Well, you know, I will tell you that we do have new leadership at LAFD, and I think some of those requests came in before, so I'll have to look at it specifically. Yes. Well, I just wanted to make sure it was nobody else.
Okay, I'm actually a Palisades resident.
Okay.
And prior to the fire, there was no police presence in the Pacific Palisades. So many people got Ring cameras. And people have reported that they have now watched their homes burn on Ring cameras, watched their neighbors' homes burn on Ring cameras, but there was no one on the street to fight the fires. So the question is, now everyone is upside down with insurance. They don't have enough money. A lot of people don't have money to rebuild. They're walking away. Could the city take some of the homeless tax that's on the sales tax and turn it around and give it to these residents who are hurting?
I'm not sure when you're talking about the homeless tax. I think you're talking about Measure A, which is a county tax. And you know, when you have ballot initiatives like that, those ballot initiatives are pretty prescriptive. And so it's something I could look into, but off the top of my head, I don't believe that money could just be moved from one issue to another one. Yes, Josh.
Last question.
Josh?
Yeah, there's been some confusion about what the Army Corps will and won't do. Can you just get some clarity on that in terms of the foundation, the concrete slabs that remain on some of the properties? Because I know that there's been some private debris companies that are going around saying, well, the Army Corps isn't going to clear your whole lot. They're not going to do the full job. We will do the full job. Is that accurate? Lay that out for us.
Okay, so specific to the foundations and some of the concrete that you're going to see on properties. So anything within the ash footprint that is concrete is eligible to be taken out under the authorities that are granted to us by FEMA. And that would include the footers, and the cases here in the Palisades, those go pretty deep, so it's a lot of concrete that we do take out. The caveat to that would be slope stability with adjacent properties and basements. Anything that could compromise slope stability for that property or their adjacent neighbor, then for safety reasons, we may not be able to take some of that concrete work. The authorities granted to us from FEMA and in this program, to your point, driveways typically are not going to be removed. Like if you have a sidewalk up to the front door, that would not be removed. Those are outside the ash footprints. Under the provisions of public health threat, we focus on the ash footprint. There might be a back patio, there might be a pool. Those are not eligible as well. So to be clear, it is those the structure that is within the ash footprint, typically the foundation, minus if there's safety concerns.
And final question to KTLA, since they came late and have to ask the question.
Mayor, I have a question. So you're a homeowner out here if you're a homeowner out in the Palisades here, what happens, what choices do you have if you choose not to opt in and have the Army Corps of Engineers do the debris removal?
If you choose not to, then, and you haven't either opted in or opted out, and you leave the debris situated there, we are going to have to declare it a nuisance, and we will have to hold you responsible, up to and including a lien on your property. You cannot just leave debris like this. And you can imagine, as neighborhoods like this neighborhood, where I know everybody knows everyone, if someone on this block, one or two people, decide they're just gonna leave it like it is, you can imagine the problem that that's gonna have for the other neighbors, and it's not fair to do that. You can choose to opt out, but you need to physically do that by filling out the form on the county website. If you opt out, then you are personally taking responsibility to hire your own debris removal firm and to have it removed yourself. But you do have to meet certain requirements. Not just anybody could come here and remove this type of debris. Thank you very much.
Mayor, you had said that you're working on getting us your deleted messages. What is the status on that?
The status on that is that should be released in the next few days.
And I just want to ask, I know the Olympics was brought up, but can you just assure the people in the Palisades were reporting on this budget crisis, the budget shortfall? People think that may impact the ability for the Palisades to rebuild and recover. What is your message regarding that?
My message regarding that is that we are going to continue to stay strong on rebuilding as soon as possible. And I think we're well on the way to do that, because we want every single family that chooses to return to be here, return, and to start the rebuilding process as fast as possible. As I mentioned, hundreds of homes have already finished phase 2. We have our rebuilding center. You can come and start the planning process right now.
But the budget issues won't impact
No,
that.
the budget issues will not.
Thank you so much, everybody.